Hello, welcome back to my live stream. This is my third attempt. This is the third time I'm doing this, and today the topic is going to be Dashas and AntarDashas. Dasha is also known as Mahadasha, just to tell you that it is a longer period in time. So we have, in this video, I'm going to discuss only about Vimshottari Dasha, where the length of the entire Dasha is 120 years. Interestingly, in the Genesis chapter, you find this line that the spirit shall not dwell in man forever, and the maximum possible is 120 years. This is taken from Genesis, and this Vimshottari Dasha seems to be working very well in Kali Yuga. Though there are around 40 different kinds of Dasha systems as given to us by the sage Maharishi Parasara in Brihat Parasara Hora Sastra, yet we have found that Vimshottari Dasha has become the most popular. And of course, each Dasha has its advantage, but that would mean that you become an expert in astrology to know all the different kinds of the dashas. One second. You can push this way. Sorry for the interruption. So I was talking about the various dasha systems and why Vimshottari Dasha is more popular, because this 120 years seems to be tallying with Kali Yuga especially, and one of the reasons why it became very popular is that it is actually quite easy to use and easy to understand. And apart from that, it really works. In order that you get this working, you need to stick to certain principles in astrology. One is that you need to have your Rashi chart, and this Rashi chart should be cast using Lahari Ainamsa, Chitrapaksha Ainamsa, and do not go anything beyond this, because most of the experts in astrology have been sticking on to these two Ainamshas. Of course, we have, again, once you go through the internet, you will find each astrologer who has become very popular has created his own Ainamsa. Well, I'm not going to discuss about Ainamsa in this video, but you need to do two things. One is that you must have a horoscope cast using Lahari Ainamsa, and the other one is that you need to have your Bhava chart in place, and I've been using Equolo system. Also been experimenting with unequal system, but beyond this, I don't think any other house system gives very good results, a consistent result at least. If you ask me how astrology has managed so far, even without the Bhava chart, that was mainly because before all this revolution in astrology happened, people did not have the time of birth, and because they didn't have the time of birth, they thought Rashi chart is enough, and then they went on to create books. They published a lot of books, and then you find the books right from Dr. B.V. Raman's time, almost all the books that were published in English, having only the Rashi chart and the Navamsha chart. But many of my viewers have been thinking that Bhava chart is my invention, but it is not. I'm not qualified to invent a new system. It is already mentioned in Brihat Parasara Hora Sastra in the early chapters of volume 1. The methods have been written, but in that Maharishi Parasara seems to be recommending the unequal system. But when we use the unequal system, we find that for people born in higher latitudes like Moscow and around that area, because we are at the equator. In India, we are closer to the equator, but of course Delhi is far away from the equator. So as you go higher and higher from the equator, you find problems arising in the Baba chart because of the unequal system. So it's also very complex. So easy way out is the equal system. But if you're using Jagannatha Hora, you will find options where you can keep an eye on the unequal system and the equal system by just clicking a button. And of course, I'll be touching upon this in a later video, and also done 2-3 videos on this topic, so you can see that. Manikantan has asked how to judge a Mahadasha of functionally malefic versus functional benefic. Is it based on the planet's dignity? Before getting into the actuals of what the Mahadashas are capable of, what will happen during a Mahadasha, you should first understand from the basic chart what is possible. What is not possible according to your basic chart cannot happen just because you are referring to the textbook and reading the dashas. For example, a person who has remained unmarried throughout his life, let's say somebody 80 years old, if you look at his horoscope and then you start using the theories of transit and the knowledge of Mahadashas and Antardashas, you will find that he has crossed several periods which indicated marriage, and marriage never happened. The reason for that is overall there is no marriage for him, and that has to be first understood. Only then you can say whether you need to look into the dashas and the Antardashas and keep looking for where is the marriage going to happen, when is the marriage going to happen. So this is a point that has been missed by many astrologers and students of astrology. So in terms of functional malefic and functional benefic, to understand functional benefic and functional malefic, you will have to first understand, without going into the functions, what are the benefics and the malefic planets. This is referred as the natural benefics and natural malefics. So on one side we have the Sun, Saturn, Mars, Rahu and Ketu on the natural malefic side, called the Krura, Krura, Krura planets. I think from this the English men must have taken the word cruel, Cruel. So these planets, if you want to translate in English, you can even say it's cruel planet. And if you want to modify this to a better term, you can say challenging planets. So these 5 are called the natural malefics. And the natural benefics are Jupiter, then Venus. They are pure benefics, does not give up the benefic nature as far as the natural nature is concerned. And then a moon that is quite strong, and especially if he is on the waxing side, the increasing phase of the moon, the Shukla Paksha, or at least if the moon is strong, so that is, and unafflicted by malefics, so that is also benefic. And then Mercury, an unafflicted Mercury, also is a benefic. But because Mercury stands always very close to the Sun, and because Mercury can never get away 28 degrees either side from the Sun, so that's a maximum it can go. So most of the time you will find that you find Mercury being afflicted by the Sun, and that is called the Astanga, or the combustion. So these are the basic ideas. And then you will say that if, let's say, Saturn is considered as a malefic, anyway Saturn is considered as a natural malefic, but for certain lagna he is considered as a very good planet. So from the basis of lagna, if you discuss, and then you redefine these planets, the role of these planets, that is called functional benefic. Functional benefic means, for example, for Tula lagna, or what we call as Libra ascendant, Saturn is the lord of the fourth and the fifth. Owning a Kendra and a Trikona simultaneously, which is very good, means that Saturn is going to be the number one best planet, the most beneficial planet for Tula Lagna people. So now we have a contradiction. We said earlier that Saturn is a natural malefic, and that would definitely a very powerful malefic. And then we are now changing that based on the ascendant. So when we change it based on the ascendant, it is based on the role of the planet with regard to that person. So for to in regard to in connection with that person, you find Saturn is favorable. So if you think this is a contradiction, it is not. For example, let's take the policeman, one policeman, an IPS officer. He is friendly to the civilians, the citizens, and he becomes the bad person for the terrorist or to the antisocial element. So the same person can play different roles. The same way, you can also say that you know, an antisocial element, a terrorist, has his own friends, and if you ask his friends, they will say that he is the god, he is the best person on earth. So it's not a contradiction, it's because the way you look at it. So for Tula Lagna people, because Saturn becomes the lord of the fourth, because fourth house means um, comforts, sukhasthana. Fifth house is very auspicious house, Purva Punya. So fourth and the fifth lord. During the dasha of the fourth and the fifth lord, definitely you will have great advantages. So now Manikandan has asked, is it based on the planet's dignity? Now this is a very important aspect. If this Saturn, which I am now talking about in case of, let's say, Tula Lagna, for Tula Lagna, you find that Saturn is an auspicious planet. But what happens if the same planet has gone to the 12th house, is occupying the 12th house in the chart? In that case, you will have to read it in a very different way, because the most important planet, the planet that should have supported this person, has gone into the 12th house of loss. So now you will read it totally in a different manner. You will say, this has become negative. The lord of the fourth has gone to the 12th. The lord of the fifth has gone into the 12th house. So there is a loss of the fourth house, there is loss of the fifth house. Therefore, this horoscope should be considered very weak, and a lot of remedies must be done in favor of Saturn. So, Devanshi Gandhi has asked, Taurus ascendant, Saturn rules 9th and 10th, situated in 8th. This is exactly what I have been describing, because for Taurus or Rishabha Lagna, Saturn is the lord of the 9th and lord of the 10th. 9th is Bhagya or fortunes, and 10th is profession, status, your work, the purpose of your life, etc. And if that planet occupies the 8th house, there is some problem associated with the 9th and the 8th. But I'm not very sure if Devanshi Gandhi knows that Saturn is in the 8th in the Bhava chart. So you'll have to first check if it is in the Bhava chart. That's why before I started this, in the beginning, I said it's very important that you have your Bhava chart in place. So for example, if you look at So we find in this case, suppose you had how if you look at this chart, you will have to read it as fourth lord in the 12th house. Same way, because you are referring to that is Devanshi is referring to the ninth lord in the 10th in the Saturn ruling the ninth and 10th, situated in the 8th house. So I request him to say whether it is in the 8th house. Is it in the 8th house? 8th house in the Baba chart. If it is in the 8th house, then there are problems associated in this dasha if you are going through Saturn dasha, especially in relation to your father, which is the 9th house, and the 10th house your profession. 9th is not just father, it is also many other aspects of your life. It's basically bhagya, the fortunes, etc. So the dasha of Saturn will be unfavorable according to Maharishi Parasara. So what happens if the malefic Devanshi has confirmed it is in the 8th bhava? So the first thing that Devanshi Gandhi can do is that you should strengthen Saturn, because it is already having some issues in the chart in the 8th. So it means that at all times you wear blue dress as much as possible. Always have blue things with you, blue vehicles, and if possible, and if you believe in the gem therapy idea, you can also try wearing the blue sapphire, but on the middle finger, because the middle finger is associated to Saturn. Raghuram Sundaresan. What happens if the malefic benefics are in retrograde position in the chart? Does it change the impact? I've been wanting to talk about retrogression for a very long time. I haven't done a video on YouTube so far, but I plan to do one. The first thing is, the first most important point is, this video might, I'm going to tell you something in this video about retrogression. Almost everyone who's using horoscope or studying astrology is, if you find, they always ask this question. Even in consultation, people ask me this question. So please look at it once again, because this planet is retrograde. This is Brihat Parasara Hora Sastra Volume 2. The entire book, except where the strength of planets are being calculated, how they, Maharishi Parasara is letting us know how to calculate the strength of planets. Except one place, no other place, Maharishi Parasara is talking about retrogression. In fact, he is just using a different kind of logic. He says retrograde planets are stronger. So whatever results it is associated to in the horoscope, it will definitely give its result if it is retrograde. So retrograde planets are always something quite different. It's very strong. So, but in Prashna, whenever you're asking a question, and astrologers calculate the planetary positions, and then they find a planet going backwards. So there they use a different kind of logic and say, if the question is connected to that planet which is going backwards, then they will tell you that whenever the planet is coming forward, during that time this event will happen. That's the only place where you can use retrogression. All other times you need not worry about retrogression at all. This is my statement. Of course, there will be a lot of people who are going to debate with me on this, and I welcome this debate. But I assure you one thing, that the description of Dashas and AntarDashas in volume 2 of G.C. Sharma, this book, buy it from the market, buy it from the bookstore, sorry, and you go through the pages. There are a lot of things written about, as far as Vimshottari Dasha is concerned, it looks like the retrogression seems to be having no effect. So if you go from the pages where he starts with the Sun Dasha, the Sun is the first one. So it's here. You can see this. He starts from here. From here till Sun, Moon, Mars, Rahu, Jupiter, Saturn, Mercury, and Ketu and Venus, all the 9 grahas. If you look at it, you will not find one single line saying in the conditions apply, if this planet is retrograde, then this is the result. You will never find one. On the other hand, Maharishi Parasara keeps on asking us, is this planet exalted? Yes, you can find that from the Rashi chart. Is it debilitated? Find that from the Rashi chart. Is it in Mulatrikona or is it in its own sign? Is it in 1, 4, 7, 10? You will need the Bhava chart for that. Is he in 5, 9? Is he in 11? Is he in 2nd? All that you find out from your Bhava chart. And this is the only thing you need to know. And you also need to know the lords of houses, because at the end of every paragraph where he is dealing with one Mahadasha and Antardasha, the last one is usually one question. Is this planet the lord of the 2nd or the 7th house? Then he says the trouble will be much more. And because the 2nd house and the 7th house they're called high stress houses. So during those times your blood pressure normally shoots up. There are lot more challenges. So this is the actual format, the general way he writes. He has delineated the Dasha and Mahadasha and Antardasha results. So don't be obsessed with this retrogradation. You can use retrogradation so many other ways, obviously. When you get into astrology, you will eventually find out. When you get into astrology seriously, you will eventually find out retrogradation has got so many other ways you can use it. But as far as Vimshottari Mahadasha and Antardasha is concerned, you can ignore the planet is going backwards. Of course, scientists out there will say that no planets go backwards. And that's not the way it is for us in astrology, because we are looking at it from our point of view. So I would like to tell you that in Shadbala, the retrogression leads to the planet getting higher strength. So I've answered Raghuram Sundaresan in that, so don't worry about the retrogression. And yes, Raj. Sir, I am having Shani Mahadasa with Sade Sati, Karka Lagna, Saturn in the 3rd house. Okay. These are two different aspects, but it just happens that they are combined in your case. Sade Sati you have to handle it separately, so I assume that you must be either a Tula Rashi or Vrishchika Rashi or a Dhanush Rashi person. But with regard to Shani Mahadasha, being a Karkataka Lagna person, which is Cancer ascendant, Saturn is the lord of the 7th and the 8th house. And Maharishi Parasara says if Saturn becomes the lord of the 7th house, it is a high stress period. If you believe in the fact that your future is alterable, which is what even Maharishi Parasara said, throughout the Mahadasha delineation, he keeps on telling how to alter your karma. So do not believe anyone who tells you that your karma is unalterable. So at the end of every paragraph where he is dealing with the Mahadasha and Antardasha, the last line he will give us some suggestions. One suggestion can only be used by the Hindu, if you are a Hindu. But there are other suggestions given by him which is universal. For example, give away a black cow in charity. I think he's connecting black to Saturn. So you can't find green cows and yellow cows, etc. So it doesn't mean that for Jupiter related problem you have to search for an yellow cow. But wherever possible, I think wherever opportunity is there, then we'll have to connect it to the planets. So black cow donation on a Saturday, first time on a Saturday, or you can do this repeatedly. And for those of you who are not, you cannot afford to do a black cow donation, you don't have enough resources for that. In that case, you can always feed the cows in general, and also give away other black items. There are several other black items which is affordable. So you can invent your own remedies once you know the basis for a remedy. The point is, in our past life, if you have done something in connection to certain objects, to certain kinds of things in the world, people associated with Saturn, etc. And if the mistake has happened in that particular area, find in a future birth, the same Saturn comes and tries to collect the dues from us, the loan for what you have defaulted. You have not paid back the loan. So Saturn is usually, whenever 7.5 year Saturn comes, we call it payback time. So for whatever you have done in the past life. So assuming that you may have done something in connection to Saturn, which is why Saturn is badly placed, or Saturn has become a functional malefic, anticipating that, you should try to do remedies of charity, related to charity, basically giving away. The idea of giving away or charity is very important in astrology, because even according to karma, we know that our sins are mostly because we have grabbed someone else's property or someone else's things. So it's usually because we took away from people something that belonged to them, and so Saturn seems to take it back from us again. It is simply the law of the basic Newton's third law. Action and reactions are equal and opposite. So for a Karkataka Lagna person, whenever Saturn Dasha, Mahadasha starts, if you are a Hindu, you can always do the Mrityunjaya Homa and then follow up on every Saturday the recitation of Mahamrityunjaya mantra. But for people belonging to other religions, you can also translate this mantra into your own language, English, or whatever language is your language, and tell this to God straight away. It doesn't mean that if you say something only in a particular language, the idea works. So you can tell it in many different, but only point is that the other person should know it. And since we know that God is the all-knowing one, you don't have to be worried about this. So people have been asking me, that, does God know all the languages? There are certain people who know 10 languages. When human beings can learn 10 languages, God must know all the languages. So the language is not an issue. So always look into the Mahadasha and AntarDasha pages of Brihat Parasara Hora Sastra, and you will find certain remedies have been written. The very that is the proof that fate is alterable. If you think that everything is prefixed, what Maharishi Parashara must have done or must have told us is, everything is prefixed and you've got nothing to do with this. Just go through your life, because everything is prefixed and you can't change it even if you look into astrology or if you don't look into astrology. Or if you pray to God or don't pray to God, doesn't matter, it's all prefixed. So astrology never accepted these kind of views. They were not actually propagating these kind of ideas. They were saying that something is indicated and it's most likely to happen, and please do not leave it like that. Understand what's likely to happen and work upon it, try to alter it. Don't get into those kind of situations. So what if malefic Saturn in 8th but exalted give bad results in Mahadasha? This is asked by Surya. Surya, you'll have to tell me what is your Lagna. Because I don't know whether you're talking about malefic Saturn as natural malefic Saturn or functional malefic Saturn. It's always important, whenever you type your question, please give the key to your horoscope. Without the key, you can't start the car. So everything is stuck until you give me the ascendant. So the ascendant is the most important thing, because the ascendant is the one which is connected to your time of birth. And without your time of birth, what is your horoscope? There's nothing in it. Surya says my Lagna is, I think, Pisces. So misspelled. Pisces Lagna, Saturn in 8th house in Libra. Okay, you're saying two things in this. One is Saturn in 8th house in Libra. whenever you say the house, it's always the Bhava chart, and it's got nothing to do with the Rashi names, the zodiac names. Maybe in your case, maybe it is also in Libra, as you said, because it's exalted. It is exalted, but in the Bhava chart also, is it in the 8th? You'll have to tell me that. Because in the Bhava chart, there are three possibilities. It can be in the 8th, it can be in the 9th, it can be in the 7th. But whatever it is, let me tell you one thing. A planet exalted is always good, no matter what role it has. Because in Maharishi Parasara text in Vimshottari Dasha explanations, you find one of the questions that Maharishi Parasara is asking us is whether the planet is exalted. And as soon as we get yes for an answer, you read the text, all good things are written underneath that. So that's the first condition. But the second, he says, if the planet is placed in bad houses. But earlier on, even before he began all this, he has given a rough idea about what you should expect in the ruling periods of planets. Always, in the ruling period of planets, when a planet is ruling you, and if that planet happens to be your first house lord, meaning ascendant lord, it's always good. These are all basic ideas in astrology. So you'll have to keep this in mind, because these rules were written elsewhere in another chapter. So because astrology is such, runs into several pages, and it's vast. They say it's comparable to the ocean, but at least you can know a little bit of it here and there by reading other chapters. So you read that the general method of reading the Dashas and AntarDashas. So the first house lord, whenever that planet is ruling you, in the Mahadasha or Antardasha scheme, it is good. Second, always bad, because it is Marakasthana. 3, again he says bad, but you have to know every other thing connected to every other aspect of life related to your third house. 4th, he says always good. 5th, good. 6th, bad, because 6th is disease, deaths and enemies. 7th, good, but with question mark. Health problems can arise, danger to life is indicated, because it is the other house of Maraka, the Marakasthana. 8th house, bad. 9th house, good. 10th house, good. 11th house, good. And 12th house, bad. But in 11th house alone, he says obstacles in matters of money. So this looks like a contradiction, because 11th house is the house of gains. So the planets in the 11th house always is good, but the lord of the 11th house is not good. And that 11th house lord's period, there is always financial setbacks. So that's how you should read it. Rampriya job basket. What happens if Jupiter is in his own sign in Rashi chart but combust in Navamsa chart? What would be the results in Jupiter Mahadasha? Just as the normal mistake people have been making in the area of retrograde planets, this is another issue, that you always try to read all the divisional charts as though it is a Rashi chart. Please understand that there is only one chart, there is only one horoscope, there is nothing else, only Rashi chart. But the Rashi chart, from the Rashi chart, you extract the other charts. You take the Bhava chart out of it, you take the Navams out of it, you take the Dashams out of it. There is nothing other than the Rashi chart. So, when you take something from the Rashi chart, you have to stick on to what was originally seen in the Rashi chart. And to get a finer version of it, something, if you want to look at it from another angle, you use the divisional charts. So you cannot use all the rules that has been associated with the Rashi chart and then put it all over the divisional charts. So there is nothing called combustion in a Navamsa chart. There is nothing like that. Of course, when planets get exalted, debilitated, all that you can use in the divisional charts, because that has been discussed by Maharishi Parasara. In the chapter where he is teaching us on how to do the Vimsopaka Bala, which is where you have all the 16 divisional charts, including the Rashi chart. And with the coming of the computer and software, they made further divisions. We do not know whether it is needed or not. But at least the 16 divisional charts, Maharishi Parasara said how best you can use them. So he is not using if the planet is combusted, combust or any other issues, but only few questions. Is it exalted? Is it debilitated? Is it in its own sign? Is it in its friend sign? Meaning dear friend, and neutral houses. That's all. Nothing more. So in Vimshottari Dasha, that is the only thing that you need. So if you really want to look deeper into this, all you have to do is use a software to calculate the Vimshottari Dasha, and you will find if a planet is, let's say exalted in many divisional charts, then it will obviously have a very high strength in Vimshottari. Let's say if one single planet has gone into debilitation in most of the divisional charts, then you find that the strength of the planet will come down. And then Vimshottari Dasha is related to Mahadasha and AntarDasha scheme. So if you want to know more about what is the quality, what is the what are to be expected in a period, there are many things that you should know. One is the lordship of that planet. Which house is it ruling? And is it a functional benefic? They say yes, take one plus point. Is he placed in auspicious houses like Kendra, Trikona, or Labasthana, whatever has been written by Maharishi Parasara under that paragraph. So if you get continuously many things that this planet is good, then most of the period will be good. So this is how you read, and do not mix things up just because you now have access to all the things because of a computer horoscope software, and you find that in my Rashi chart this planet is like this, then in Navamsa it is in the 12th house, therefore I don't know which one to use. Always stick to the Rashi chart, Bhava chart, and always go according to the rules that has been laid out in Brihat Parasara Hora Sastra volume 2 with regard to Mahadasha and Antardasha. Surya. Sir, I am Pisces Lagna. In Bhava chart, Saturn is in the 9th house, in Scorpio, and in Rasi chart in Libra sign. I want to know whether the Saturn Mahadasha will be good or bad. See, the first point is, even before looking into the placement, for Pisces Lagna, Saturn is the lord of the 11th and the 12th house. In terms of financial problems, in terms of wealth related questions, Saturn is negative, challenging. But because it is exalted, 50% of the period will give you good results just because it is exalted. But most of the time you'll also find the anxieties, because Saturn in the 9th has to be now treated in a different way. It has to be treated as spoiling the 9th house, because the 9th house is a Trikona, and we wish benefics were there in the Trikonas. So now you'll have to read it as also the 12th lord in the 9th. So 12th is loss and 9th is loss of fortune. And read it as 11th lord in the 9th. 11th lord in the 9th is good as far as the Bhava dealing, reading about the effects of planets occupying different houses. If you read that those lines, you will find 11th lord in the 9th is good. But generally Saturn Mahadasha will be mostly challenging. Little bit, at least 25% of the times it will be good, because Saturn, thank God, is at least exalted. But if you want to improve upon this, Saturn in the 9th house conditions, you have to pray to your forefathers. Often visit temples, try to repair temples, and if you are a non-Hindu, you repair your own places of worship, or contribute to the funds needed by the church or the mosque. And the basic idea is that 9th house is afflicted, so read everything about the 9th house and then start doing the remedies in connection to the 9th house. 9th house is father, so praying to forefathers is one of the main remedies for Saturn in the 9th. Many people having Saturn in the 9th, they have changed their life completely after they started contributing to temples, places of worship, bathing places. If you walk into a just contact social service organization and see if you can donate a bathroom to maybe in a slum house, a slum dwelling. So if you can reach out to you know places where people are not having the facility to have their own bathrooms. So bathing places and temple rebuilding and cow shelters. These are the best remedies for Saturn the ninth. Reach Sri Hari. If Dasha Bhukti results are pro-event and transit results are anti-event, how to predict? Usually the Dasha Bhukti results are superior to transit results. But transit results also have some effect because transit is mostly working in the mind. What happens to your mind during, because transit results are always referred from the moon. But if you are referring the transit in relation to the Lagna, which is taking the same as ascendant as the first or second and third and fourth, you will find very consistent results if you are able to make, read it together along with dashas and bhuktis. But if you think you have come to a point of confusion, always give more weightage to dasha and bhukti and less weightage to transit, unless the transit problem happens to be connected to Sade Sati. Because Sade Sati seems to be very powerful. I'll give an example. Dasha and AntarDasha, you can take it as road, the conditions of the road as you drive. And this driving experience is comparable to your life. So the vehicle in which you are traveling is your horoscope, the entire horoscope. So this vehicle remains with you for one journey, one lifetime. So whatever the plus and the minus in the vehicle will continue throughout that journey. So if you have any fault in the vehicle, that's it. You have to stay with that. But of course you can also service those parts. So that is remedies. But the other aspect is the road conditions. In some places you will find the road very smooth, and in another place you will find it is under repair or a lot of potholes and many speed breakers and so on, or many bends which is making you to forcing you to slow down. This is dasha and bhukti. The transits are comparable to the environment. So weather conditions, raining, drizzling, dark, day and night, these are all transit effects, comparable to transit effects. So if I ask you the question which is more important, I'm sure you will not be able to conclude. Is the vehicle more important? It's like asking, which is more important, the eyes or the mouth or the nose or the ears. So it's very difficult, but of course you can say which is more important. So a 7.5 year Saturn is comparable to a cyclone. So in cyclone, that's the most powerful thing. So everything comes to a standstill. You can't drive even if you have a good road and a good vehicle. So you'll have to read it very carefully, use a lot of logic, and give it share. Like from transit this much share, and from Mahadasha and Antardasha this much. If you think astrology is that way very complex, then that's because life itself is complex. It's the very nature of life. So even if you say what is good and what is bad, that itself is a very big problem. It is to be debated. So let's say if you had watched the movie Titanic, the Titanic hero is winning a game and is getting a free ticket on the Titanic. If you freeze that moment and then ask, let's say it's a real life incident, we'll just think like that. So let's say some astrologer is looking at his chart and saying that now you are running a good time or a bad time. So if he says he's running a good time, it will tally because he's just won the prize. He's got the ticket to the Titanic and he's in a celebration mood. But within 6 hours the disaster is happening and you find what happens. So if you look at it, is it a good time or a bad time? So it's very difficult to say. But actually in astrology, if you look at the Dasha and AntarDasha, you will find contradictory results. In my consultations, I told something to a person that you are running a very bad time right now, and the person used to say, no, I'm running a good time. But before that period ends, it would have worked. So at the time of consultation, it may not have tallied. So we find these kind of confusions in life. So someone like this came to me and I said, you are running, a time when you are in deep trouble as far as your money matters are concerned. And he said, no, it's just the opposite. The bank has given me a very huge, loan, a facility, and I'm now, you know, in a very happy mood because of that. I'm actually worth only this much, but they gave me so big loan. And I said, no, it's still a bad time. It's better, to look at it very carefully. And later on, I came to know that there were lots of, huge losses, and he was in deep trouble before the period ended. So the dashas and antardasha work, but the problem is you do not know. At the time you are reading, it may not tally, and then what you do is then you try to look for answers elsewhere. You change the way you are looking at the chart. Suppose I tell you that you are running a good time, and at that time you are feeling bad about it. Then you will say, no, no, I know my Saturn is in the 8th house in transit. That's why I'm going through Ashtama Shani. Those kind of things. So anyway, coming back to the question, I'd like to say that always give 75% importance to uh, Mahadasha and Antardasha, and 25% to the transit. But only in 7.5 years Saturn, you'll have to make it 50-50. Anand Mishra has asked, as per Lagna Lord in the 6th house. Now, we are not talking about the lordship of, the planets being in various houses. That's not the discussion right now. We are only sticking on to the Dashas and Antardashas. So Gokul Das has asked, sir, I have Saturn Dasha, Mercury Antardasha. Saturn Dasha in 11th, Mercury in 10th, in Libra. So this has to be read very carefully because Mercury is behind Saturn. This is something which is very unique in Maharishi Parashara's text. We find after the question has been asked pertaining to the Lagna, is the said planet in 6, 8 and 12 from Lagna, then the challenges are written down. And the next paragraph, Maharishi Parashara is always asking, is this planet badly placed from Dashana? So the moment we get yes, you'll read the remaining few lines there and you'll find a lot of challenges. So in this case, because Mercury is behind, during this period there will be loss of wealth also. To get the exact prediction reading, there are a lot of PDF files on Brihat Parasara Hora Sastra, both volume 1 and 2. You can buy it online. E-books are available, or you can buy the original, this copy. And under each dasha and bhukti, you will find specific results being given. In this video, I do not have the time to do the exact statement, Let me scroll through. So Zaotico. So very difficult to pronounce these names. So what about position of Antardasha Lord relative to Mahadasha? I have Rahu in Aries ascendant with Saturn in 8th house Scorpio. Rahu in 6th house from Saturn. One important thing to remember as far as Antardashas are concerned, or Mahadasha, Antardasha, this Vimshottari Dasha is concerned, you actually have two lagnas. One, the birth ascendant, which is your ascendant proper, which is the key to your horoscope. Now that gives you the synopsis of your life. The other one is what is called the moving ascendant. The ascendant that changes over a period of time. So the the dasha, the planet whose dasha you are running, let's say you are running Rahu Mahadasha. Now find out where Rahu is, use that as the midpoint of the house, of the first house, and make another Bhava chart. You can use a software for this. So now Rahu, the exact Rahu, wherever it is in your chart, becomes the ascendant, like the first ascendant that we know in the basic chart itself. Now, with reference to this, if a planet is placed in 6, 8, and 12, it will give unfavorable results. So, at any point in time, you are actually having two ascendants. One is the Lagna proper in your chart, taken from the Rashi chart and the Bhava chart, but another one based on your dashas. For example, right now I am going through Jupiter Dasha. Therefore, wherever Jupiter is, it is in Makara and Capricorn. So, my ascendant right now is Capricorn. Capricorn Lagna and then Capricorn ascendant, because Jupiter, the Mahadasha Lord, is in Capricorn. Then read the positions of planets from Jupiter. So same way, all of you should do the same thing. You can use Jagannatha Hora. Jagannatha Hora is such a wonderful software where it lets you create your Bhava charts from different point of view. So just experiment with it. There are a lot of options and you can use that. So whenever a planet is placed, especially in 8th and 12th from the Mahadasha Lord, it's usually quite bad. Anticipating this, you should change your lifestyle. You should not do things which would tend to make it happen. The essence of astrology is that something is tending to happen, most probably going to happen. So you should work in such a way that those things don't happen. It is not prefixed completely. It is like saying that on a rough road, the speed will drop. That part of it is prefixed. But other experiences are not prefixed. It is not that your tire will be damaged or it got stuck in one of the holes. All that is because you were careless. Sir, my current dasha, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, suffering from debts and peace in life. Is it due to badly placed Jupiter? Please analyze as per Lagna Lord in 6th. Okay, this is quite a long one. I exactly don't know, because where is your Lagna? What is your Lagna? You have not said. But anyway, Lagna Lord in the 6th house. Since you asked this, irrespective of Dasha and Bhuktis, I would like to tell you, if your Lagna Lord is in the 6th house, Maharishi Parasara is hinting at the possibility of great wealth, abundant wealth, but trouble due to the means, the methods. And with the banks all around us in this world, you find that the person having the Lagna Lord in the 6th is usually susceptible to the loan problems. Most of the times, a person having the Lagnadhipati in the 6th house, when he goes to the bank will help him a lot by giving him as much as he wants, and then puts him into the problem of debts. And this person will pay a lot of interest. The person having the Lagnadhipati in the Lord of Lagna in the 6th house. So whenever I see a person having the Lagna Lord in the 6th, I tell them to stay away from debts, loans. The best suggestion for you is to start repaying the loans every Tuesday. Every time an eclipse happens, go and settle some portions of the principal amount instead of the interest, and soon your loan will be wiped off. And in future, settle down for business activities where you're not so much dependent on loans. You only grow because of your skill and not because of the money that someone funded you. Astro BLY, Saturn in 12th house for Libra ascendant and Saturn Mahadasha. It's Yoga Karaka, but in the 12th house. Yes, it is. So you also have a Putra Dosha rising out of the 5th Lord being in the 12th house. So one of the fantastic and most effective remedy for you, for Libra Lagna people, if Saturn is in the 12th house, is taking care of an orphan child in an orphanage. So that's the first remedy. And throughout the Mahadasha of Saturn, you have to be very careful. And Saturn the 12th, it's really troublesome because Saturn is the Karaka for the 12th house itself. So you can say that, some people argue that if the 12th, the Karako Bhavanasya, if Saturn, the Karaka for the 12th is in the 12th house is destroyed. It's not true. We found in many cases Saturn in the 12th has always done its job. Saturn in the 12th means that you should do a lot of, give a lot of charity to the physically challenged persons, people around you. Do all the remedies connected to Saturn. I've done a lot of videos on Saturn. Watch all of them and do it. It's very important because the Yoga Karaka means the best planet, the guardian angel in your horoscope, the most important friend, has gone into the 12th house. The 12th house is the house of loss, house of imprisonment, bondage, restriction, feeling tied down, loss of freedom. But the positive side is the more pilgrimages you go, for example, visit as many divine places, and especially if the divine place is on a hill, walk up. The 12th house is feet, so injury to the foot is feet, and the lower legs is possible, and therefore strain your legs in a temple where where reaching the temple, for example Tirupati, you'll have to walk from down to the top. So basically treadmill is also one idea. So walk long distances every day to reduce the impact of Saturn in the 12th, and give away wheelchairs to physically challenged people, and also the donation of bed to old age homes. Seema Kulkarni, Saturn as Parivartana Yoga in Sashthyamsa chart. As I told you in the beginning, now that we have access to all the divisional charts, what mostly happens nowadays is that if the Rashi chart is not showing the yoga, then one is so eager, one feels let down, and then you go on looking into other divisional charts and check if there is a Gajikesri yoga in another chart, or if there is another yoga, any other yoga in any other divisional chart. All these methods are not appropriate in Vedic astrology. Vedic astrology always, whenever you are talking about yoga, it is always in relationship to the Rashi chart and Bhava chart for, of course, the house places, but it's always confined to these two places. You can't, unless there is special mention of a yoga using a divisional chart. Otherwise, you can't keep reading all divisional charts as though it is like the Bhava chart or the Rashi chart. Of course, for Seema, I'm not saying that you have to go by what I say. Continue your research on all this, and eventually you will find out it's not yielding any results. So in conclusion, I have a few things to tell before I wind up. If you want to understand astrology, the best way is to look at astrology as a science of tendencies, possibilities, and then from the possibilities it can turn into reality. And with that in mind, you should read astrology. And two, at the end of every Dasha and AntarDasha, Maharishi Parasara has given us, being a very kind person, he has given us information on how to alter the course of destiny. And please give a lot of importance to it. Even it does not matter to what religion or faith you belong to. For everyone there is a solution. Find out the nature of the planet and connect all the remedies to that planet if that planetary period is giving you a lot of challenges. If it is giving you, if Dasha and AntarDasha is giving you great advantage, during that time, endeavor to do all your big projects, make your changes. If you want to quit your company and join another company, in a good time, that's actually recommended. When you do it in a bad time, the bad will still be there. The bad time is still on. So even by quitting this company and going to another company, the same bad time is likely to continue. So we always use this logic: a known devil is better than an unknown angel. So better to stick on to the same place. If you refer Brihat Parasara Hora Sastra, you will not find any text which will tell you that the company um, where you're working, or what is the name of the company, you're going to quit this company, your boss is going to do all this. Nothing has been stated in Brihat Parasara Hora Sastra Volume 2. All it says is that you're running a good time, bad time. There are some words which you will have to use it in the best possible manner. For example, problem through the kings, then you'll have to read it as the boss, problem through the boss. And going away, so basically you should read it as leaving your job and going to another job. So you will have to read it accordingly, considering the current times, what is applicable and what is not applicable. So when you say king, it can be due to government policies. Because of the government, the laws change, the nation is making you go through an experience, all that. And along with that, the boss, the big boss. So whatever doubts you have, you please type them out in the comment section, and whenever I find the time, I'll answer them for you. Thank you so much for watching this live stream. So if you like this live stream, please hit the like button, and if you haven't subscribed so far, please subscribe to the channel, and based on the likes, I'll be in a position to understand whether I should continue doing the live stream or I should stick on to only doing the videos, the regular videos that I've been making. Thank you so much for watching this video. Namaskar.